What up, YouTube? This is Chef, New Zealand Murder History Podcast. So I got a pretty cool show for you today. Hope you like it. We've got another sex worker special today because my episode on South Island sex worker murders did so well. Check this one out. Today we're going to discuss quite a few, but certainly not all of, crimes committed by North Island sex workers, up to and including murder. Now, throughout New Zealand history, sex workers have had to deal with some pretty sketchy clients from here and there, you know. But they weren't always on the receiving end of the violence. Here at New Zealand Murder History Podcast, we believe in equal opportunity. So here we go. This podcast is for education purposes only. I'm just telling these stories to make people think. And definitely not to disrespect the victims, mostly clients in these cases, but also not to mock or disrespect these working girls. So nobody say mean things in the comments. Here in New Zealand, sex work's legal. But the girls and the few blokes who work in the industry, well, they have to be consenting adults over the age of 18. Anyway, that's how it is over here. New Zealand Murder History Podcast isn't suitable for children. This episode will discuss violent deaths, drug use, and of course, sex work. Anyone who's struggling with some kind of mental problem or perhaps just having a bad day, also click off. It's it's pretty heavy. We're going to discuss some nasty crimes. Check this one out, for example. Dione Liz Neal was a North Island sex worker. Dione Liz Neal had recently given up hooking to be a hairdresser at a Beach Haven salon in Auckland's North Shore. Now, those not from New Zealand, that's a pretty upmarket area. Funnily enough, she didn't like her boyfriend's use of escort services. So, 39-year-old Dione Neal stabbed her 38-year-old print production manager boyfriend in the shower of his Auckland flat. Just like out that movie, Psycho. Yeah, Psycho with Anthony Perkins, the shower. Yeah, that's what she did for real. Nasty. It was Waitangi Day, 2007. She got 10 years non-parole for that. Now, the bloke who got stabbed was Reese Shadbolt. Yeah, ended his life, she did. Awful. I'm not really sure if they met in a sex worker-client context or, perhaps she just used to cut his hair. I mean, I don't know. Many of the girls have regular jobs and moonlight as sex workers because, well, it's New Zealand. They're trying to get a bit of money together to pay the rent and bills, Life's expensive over here. Well, who knows? Anyway, information for this case was taken from newzealandherald.co.nz, the 12th of June 2007. Article, Prostitute Who Killed Lover Gets Minimum 10 Years. Yeah, they probably wouldn't have sold as many papers if the article read, Killer Hairdresser Gets 10 Years. Now this next one I remember from 2009 when an Indian guy was looking up escorts online. He arranged to go to an Auckland address for sex, but when he shows up, some blokes smash him up, take all of his money, and tell him to leave. I'm not sure if there ever was a girl at this address. I actually couldn't find any sources for this one when I was researching this podcast, but yeah, that was a case I remember. Anyway, this next one is a bit more of a complex case, so listen carefully for this convoluted mess. It's a mess. Up in Taranaki, there lived a farmer called Mark Goodwin, and his marriage to his wife Nikki Goodwin was on the rocks. He used the services of an escort called Jan Te Waiponamurere, York. That's probably not the best pronunciation. Te Waiponamu, if I'm not mistaken, means the South Island of Māori. And then, yeah, there's another word on the end of that, so. Anyway, Jan York. It was 13th of October 1994, and York was working for the New But True escort agency in New Plymouth. She would end up being the farmer's girlfriend, and fast forward to 1 year, and their love had blossomed into a plot to hit Nikki Goodwin. And, make it look like a bit of an accident. What could possibly go wrong? The next few sentences is quoted directly from stuff.co.nz article written on the 3rd of the 12th, 2016. Taranaki killer prostitute Jan York freed from prison after 20 years behind bars. I love the names of all the articles when I've been researching this. They're so jumped up, Taranaki killer prostitute. Ah, it's so silly. The victim's ordeal, I say victims with a plural, there's two of them. Anyway, the victim's ordeal began on Friday, the 22nd of September 1995, after Nikki Goodwin dropped the couple's children off at their family farm near Stratford, Taranaki. York and Mark plied Nikki and her best friend Barbara Bishop with drugs and alcohol. Then a plastic bag was placed over Nikki Goodwin's head and she was struck twice with a brick-sized object. Barbara Bishop was placed in the driver's seat of her Ford Laser, which was pushed off a 25-metre cliff at Opunake. Opunake's South Taranaki district. I believe that's where Chris Crean was from, if I'm not mistaken. I did a show about him recently. It's a Crown witness who got shot up there. Anyway, so over in Opunake, they push her off the cliff. Now the Crown says that Nikki Goodwin was removed last minute from the vehicle because the criminals changed their minds and decided to switch the plan up a bit, Anyway, a fisherman found Barbara Bishop huddled on rocks about 7 hours later. A freak wave had lifted the vehicle to safety. So basically what happens is York and Goodwin have pushed this car with Barbara Bishop off a 25-metre cliff in Opunake. It's landed so it's pegged on the rocks a bit, but the nose is in the sea, and then the sea, all of a sudden this big freak waves come along and actually lifted the car back up onto the rocks so that she doesn't drown. It's a miracle. And it worked out good for her as well, because she actually ended up giving evidence against the farmer and his new prostitute wife or girlfriend. She is at this stage. I think they were planning to get married. Anyway, point is, Barbara Bishop survives. A fisherman comes, helps her out. 7 hours later, she's safe. And basically this article is saying that York and Mark Goodwin, well, they're trying to kill Barbara Bishop for no other reason than they were trying to kill Nikki Goodwin. So, well, you may as well make the whole thing look like an alcohol-related drug driving accident. Yeah, may as well kill Barbara Bishop too, Make it look like she was the driver. Well, this elaborate hit on the Taranaki farmer's wife was all just to save money on a divorce. He didn't want to give her half the farm. What a cheapskate. Mark Goodwin did 16 years, and Jan York done 20 years for the murder and attempt murder. Yeah, they're both out now. It's pretty sad, that one. I mean, they're all sad cases, of course, but yeah, bumped off that lady just for a bit of money, Sure makes you think. Some people's priorities are just, what can you say? That lady Barbara Bishop, who gave evidence against them, well, yeah, she would actually go to restorative justice meetings with both York and Goodwin in prison. So it looks like she, she doesn't feel animosity on her behalf, which is pretty cool, really, if you think about it. I mean, they literally pushed her off a cliff. Anyway, a North Island sex worker with name suppression was jailed for setting up a Filipino bloke for an aggravated robbery which took place on the 1st of April 2019. This is all in the Hawke's Bay, Hastings to be precise. I'll just lift that window up a bit. There we go. But the rain's starting to come in now. Alright, check this one out. Jermaine Ramos was 36 when he booked a Hastings sex worker. Driving from Waipukurau to Hastings, they smoked pee and had sex at a motel. But they ended up in a row over money. This article I'm researching is off the Radio New Zealand website, www.rnz.co.nz. Trio jailed after assaulting Hawke's Bay man leading to death. And that was written on the 11th of February in 2021. This website says that Ramos underpaid the escort with name suppression for the sex and the pee. And of course, it's worth saying that Ramos, well, he's no longer around to tell his side of the story. But anyway, as the story goes, well, he agreed to pay some of the money via a bank transfer and later failed to do so. But that wasn't quite all this was about, though. You see, Ramos, well, he liked threesomes, and he wanted to hire another sex worker to come and have a threesome at this motel. But the escort with name suppression took offense to this idea, basically saying that Jermaine Ramos wasn't satisfied with the service provided. Anyway, the point is that they had a row, and in the morning, well, she takes off in a taxi, and she's feeling pretty disrespected and out of pocket for some cash that he allegedly owed her. But anyway, she cooks up a plan to trick roll Ramos, calling up 3 blokes from Big Punch to get the job done. April the 1st, 2019, and Ramos was smoked out on pee. Texting the Hawke's Bay ex-escort. Driving to Hastings, he stopped at the cash machine to withdraw $640 in cash. Poor old Ramos. He was way too high to see that he was walking into a setup. When he comes to the house in Akina, a suburb of Hastings, well, it didn't go well for him. He was heard yelling, "No, no, please stop. Where's the money, man? Where's the cash?" Yeah, it's nasty, you know. These 3 blokes, they beat Ramos unrecognizable. He got completely demolished with a big heavy glass vase, and then they ran away. $640. The escort with name suppression, well, she didn't call emergency services. I read one source that said she eventually texted a friend of hers, and a friend of hers would call emergency services. Yeah, anyway, Ramos died of what turned out to be a heart attack 2 hours later. The pathologist said he had narrow arteries and was high on pee, as well as the severe beating. So the blokes who beat him, they only really got done for manslaughter. Well, they only did get done for manslaughter because of his pre-existing health condition and the fact that he was already on drugs that can cause heart palpitations, heart problems, etc. So yeah, I guess it was hard for them to definitively say that the beating caused the death. But anyway, Stephen Kingy, well, he got 4 years and 2 months. Jesse Burns got 4 years, and Stuart Hubbard got 3 years and 10 months prison for the manslaughter and robbery. I don't know how long the escort with name suppression got. Choice. Well, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching my show. And the next time you're up in the North Island and you're thinking about getting your dick sucked, well, you better think again.